Pandemonium Reigns.
Hey, family and friends, Merry Christmas. Feels like since New Year's since we've been with you guys, but we're back. We actually never left.
Stayed right there in your hearts the whole time.
Right there in your hearts the whole time. Forgive us. I feel like we should say life comes at you fast. So appreciate you guys. How long has it been? A little over a week since we dropped a pod. I mean, we're doing 2 episodes
maybe closer
a week.
To 2.
Yeah.
You know, half the reason we haven't recorded is just, you know, the coping with the fact that the regular season's over.
Yeah.
Bowls are already started. I mean, we're just coping, you know.
Yeah.
The best way to do it would have been to do it together as a family, but it's okay. We'll start that now.
Okay. We shall start now. Well, we're officially going to title this episode Catching Up, because there's so much that has happened in the college football world since you and I have last chatted over the Zooms and over the World Wide Webs and tickling people's ears. So with that said, since life comes at you fast and we haven't been have a chance to be with you guys, we just want to remind you that we do this for free. We do this out of the kindness of our hearts. We do this to tickle your ears. So the least you can do, you piece of crap, is press the subscribe button, right? Press like on this video.
Yes.
So we would love you for that. And if you don't, and we'll still love you, even though you suck. But just push the button. That's all you got to do. We're gonna just push the button. All right. You know,
Simple click.
Josh Pate has got this whole thing that he does. Like, he persuades you into it. And I started listening to Joel Klatt a little bit. Like, he's, you know what? Just push the dang button.
Push the button.
How about that? Just don't be a jerk and push the button.
Please.
So, pretty please. We'll be your best friends forever. So I don't even really know where to begin. Bowl season has started. Deion Sanders is turning the college football world upside down. So you know what? Let's just start there. Tell me what you think about that hire and the move from Jackson to State. He's fresh off this loss, you know, in I think it was their HBCU title game.
Yeah.
Not even sure about that. Which they had a white dude on the team. I had no clue.
I didn't either. That's crazy.
And he's the conveniently enough for the white people of this country, he dropped a touchdown pass. So,
I did see that. Yes.
Yeah. Go white people. Sure.
Poor
why
guy.
not? Yeah.
I did see a video of Deion consoling that poor young man. So that's cool. I think I really like Deion as a coach and how he is relationally with the players. And Colorado is the perfect place to take a chance on Deion because recruiting probably going to come easy. Like we talked about just a second ago, relationships. He kind of nails that. I could honestly listen to the videos that there are out there of him firing people up and just saying this and that. I could listen to that stuff all day and probably run through some walls around my house, but then I'd have to fix them. So I don't want to do that. But again, perfect place because they can certainly afford to take a chance. They've kind of been in, purgatory as a program for a long time.
2 decades at least.
Absolutely. He should infuse that program with talent, even if for Deion, this is a stepping stone and he's out of there within 3 or 4 years, it's going to be really fun and it's going to bring some attention. Maybe you can, if he does do that, if he doesn't stay long-term, you can find a better guy than you would have got, just if you hadn't hired Deion in the next search. But again, very exciting. I hope that he flips that conference on its head because that conference needs a wake-up call, and he's kind of a really a big breath of fresh air for it, I think, if he can coach the way that they've won at Jackson State, if he can recruit and land some big names, which he's cleaning up with transfers. He's bringing these guys from Jackson State, his sons. That'll be, again, really exciting for me. I'm excited to see how that goes, and I'm rooting for it.
I'm convinced that nobody moves the needle in this sport more than Deion Sanders. And I mean, you're talking about his first Division I job, and here he is, and Colorado is now overnight a national brand.
Yep.
Dead in the water, right? Under the bridge, gone, dead. 1990 was forever ago, where they split a title with Georgia Tech. Those days are done. Nope. Here comes primetime, and they are a national brand, just like that. That's going to be interesting. The Pac-12, or what is the future of the Pac-12 with the departure of UCLA and USC. I wonder if something like that, if primetime can say some things maybe to get those guys to stick around, because you're potentially talking about losing Washington and Oregon too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he said it. Money doesn't move me. I move money. And holy crap, is he spot on. You and I talked about what he said in his first team meeting and in his first introductory press conference. And Shador Sanders and his other son Shiloh, I think it's Shiloh, are already committed to Colorado. As of now, Travis Hunter is in the portal. Sounds like he's got 4 schools down to Georgia, Miami, Colorado, and I forget the other one. I sent it to you earlier.
Don't remember. I'll work on finding that.
Surprising, Florida State is not one of those with the season that they're coming off of, and him being committed to those guys for so long.
Yeah.
Maybe he burned that bridge. Who knows?
It's possible. USC is the other school in play there.
USC. There it is. But anyway, man, I like it. I like it a lot. Going to be interesting to follow the future of that conference, though.
Yeah.
If those two powerhouses, those Blue Bloods, the Bruins and the Trojans, take off, if that continues to stay the way that it is, what is the future for Colorado and a knockoff version of the American Conference at that point? So I don't know. Interesting. Speaking of the American, you had some stuff that you wanted to talk about. I say American because Cincinnati's coming out of the American. Louisville at one point in time was, and those guys just faced off, and they have a common denominator. Tell me about it.
They have a common denominator, and that is Scott Satterfield, who made the jump from Louisville to Cincinnati. Those two teams played in a bowl game this season, this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
All of this just blows my mind. Satterfield, I think, has been looking for a way out of there for a while, and it kind of feels obvious to say that. It feels like Cincinnati could have done better with the way that, I mean, if you go back to Brian Kelly, Jones had a little success there. Fickle certainly had a success there. I mean, his was not riding any coattails. You know what I mean? He was doing his own thing there. He kind of resurrected it out of the Tuberville era there and turned it around really nicely.
Yeah.
And they land Scott Satterfield, which really makes me wonder about their direction. Doesn't seem like a good hire because there's just been a lot of remarks about Scott Satterfield and whether Louisville's the problem, whether he's the problem, whether it's administration.
Mm-hmm.
But again, just mind blowing to me that we have a bowl where the winner of the game lost their head coach and the loser of that game hired that guy. And just, if that's not a microcosm of college football as a whole right now, I don't know what it is. You got guys transferring inside conferences and going to rivals of the school that they used to play for. And man, just wild times these in our sport.
What a weird love triangle that is. I mean,
yeah.
I guess he accepted that job before the bowl was named, right? Well,
I believe he did.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
I believe he did, because Fickle in Wisconsin, that was we had that our last show, I think, talking about the coaching carousel.
Yeah.
What a hire we thought that was for Wisconsin. So that's been a minute.
Yeah.
I would say that the opponents weren't known. It would be hilarious if they were, but I would say that the opponents probably weren't known at the time he accepted that Cincinnati job.
Yeah. Yeah. In other bowl news,
Other bowl news.
In
the Las Vegas Bowl. Heyo. We had the Oregon State Beavers demolishing the Florida Gators. What world is this that Florida has their third, maybe fourth string quarterback playing in their bowl game? You got Anthony Richardson saying, "See you guys later. I'm not going to play in this bowl game." Florida, man, that is a very uninspiring cap to a very rough first season, if you're asking me, for Billy Napier down there.
Which is wild.
Feels like a lot of issues.
They're recruiting really well right now.
They are recruiting well. They're recruiting well, but in talking about, just touching on their quarterback situation, for instance, talking about Jack Miller, the Ohio State transfer, played in this game because of, again, Richardson opting out. Some very troubling news that I don't really want to talk about, with Jalen Kitna not being available anymore, probably heading to do some time if the allegations are true. So you're down to your third string, fourth string guy in Miller from Ohio State.
Well, wait a second. So let me pause you right there because he was the second string guy going in. Second guy in the spring, but that injury, I mean, he was very much had that second spot
about that.
locked down. Yep.
I forgot about that. So maybe your second string. You're definitely down the totem pole, for sure.
You're at least talking about a guy who hasn't played all year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hasn't played. Kitna played a little bit when I can't remember. I don't know what the situation was in Florida State game when Richardson came out because he came right back in. So I don't know what that situation was. He was not having a good game, but I don't know if he was pulled or I don't know what the situation was. But I mean, think about their quarterback situation next year. They have to get in the portal for a quarterback to maybe be their starter, to perhaps provide depth because you've got this Miller kid. I'm sure there's other names. I looked at them prior to the season. I don't remember them. You've got Jaden Rashada coming in, who's a very talented prospect. But again, year 2 in Florida, when you lost to Tennessee, you lost to Kentucky at home, you lost to Florida State. Are you going to take your chances? Vanderbilt. You lose to Vanderbilt. Are you going to take your chances in year 2 with a true freshman quarterback? Or, I mean, what do you do?
I don't know. I just can't stop smiling.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a beautiful situation. And listen, like, quarterback is not the only issue. Like,
oh yeah,
Richardson has talent, but the receivers and the pass catchers are half the issue because you've got Pearsall, who's a great slot guy, but you don't have speed on the outside. You don't have a ton of production from tight ends. You had a great running game for most of the year, even being as kind of one-dimensional or as limited passing as you were. So I'm sure you can continue to run the ball. Perhaps you won't have the threat of Anthony Richardson back there. So that'll limit it a little bit. What on the earth do you do? I mean, you lose 30-3 in your Las Vegas Bowl to Oregon State, which is not a bad Oregon State team, but 30-3.
30-3.
You and I shared the video of, and you'll have to give me the name or we'll just have to spell the name out, old Princely, and his lack of effort there, number 33 coming off.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's lackluster. Yeah.
Yet again, I mean, if that's not a perfect microcosm of bowls and how things trend towards the end of seasons in 2022, I don't know what was.
Well, that dude's been like that all year, just taking plays off. And I believe that's what draft prospects have an issue with him because he's got all the talent in the world. But wobble. Well, you talked about them running the ball. Did you see their rushing numbers against Oregon State?
Oh, it was so putridly awful.
Let's go ahead and take off that Ricky Pearsall jet sweep where they went for -2. They basically rushed for 41 yards. Leading rusher was a yard 0.8 on average.
Goodness.
Terrible. Florida's got some stuff to figure out, no doubt. But lucky for them, there are quarterbacks in the portal. I can see a Devin and O'Leary. I can see a Grayson McCall ending up in a place like Florida. And say what you want to. I don't. There might be Florida fans out there that disagree, but you might be better off with Anthony Richardson. He seems like he's such that raw, athletic talent, one generational talent that you kind of just can't figure out what to do with him. I guess they went into panic mode. I don't know, but you know what? I mean, I think Jack Miller's good enough.
Sure,
give him an off season, keep him healthy, but they've got some stuff to figure out.
My goodness, the list is long. Absolutely. And we haven't even touched on transfers they've lost because
I'm ready to say that.
I mean, that, again, something I did over the offseason was just look at a couple of Tennessee's opponents and their rivals, their rosters. They were already limited in that secondary and they've lost. You talk about Kamar Wilcoxon. You talk about the young man that transferred to Nebraska, whose name slips me at the moment. I think they lost one to TCU as well. So, I mean,
Corey Collier transferred to Nebraska. Dylan Bluck is in the portal. Lloyd Summerall's in the portal. Tight end Nick Elkson went to the Gamecocks. Kamar Wilcoxon, who you didn't you want to touch on this guy? Didn't you?
Do we have some history with Kamar Wilcoxon? Committed to let's actually take it back one further step. Florida commit back in the day in the 2020, I'm going to say, recruiting class.
Sounds right.
Florida, he's a Florida commit. Decommits from them. Proceeds to do nothing but trash that program online and just go back with the position coaches and do really weird suspect stuff. Commits to Tennessee and Jeremy Pruitt in that what was a really promising looking recruiting class for about 10 seconds. Eventually decommits from Tennessee, commits and enrolls at Florida, which was so weird because of the drama that he had there. and now the young man is transferring to Temple.
Yeah.
So really makes me wonder what are the issues there, because that's a big drop off in program, which don't even really need to highlight. Just really makes me question that young man. And is it mental? Maybe is he not as good as he was as rated? I don't know. But
Horn Skipson all over again, feels like.
Yeah, feels like it. I mean, just talk about a big drop off.
Yeah. Did we talk about Naquan Wright?
I don't think we did. We have not talked about Naquan Wright.
1, he's in the portal. 2, he's committed.
He's what?
Yeah, he's committed to the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech. He's a heck of an engineer.
Oh, man, is he ever?
Wow. I just pulled this up. But they've got dudes. So you've also got, aside from him, Lorenzo Lingard is in the portal. David Reese, good linebacker for them, is in the portal. I wanted to point out Avery Helm, corner for them, 4-star corner, headed to TCU.
There we go.
Portal was not kind to these guys.
No, not at all. So, I mean, year 2, we know how quick the coach's seat will get hot. Florida is no exception, especially when you lose to Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Kentucky at home. You lose to Florida State. You go 6-7 in your first season. That's not what they expected. Don't let anyone tell you that's what they expected. All we heard was how good Anthony Richardson is. Top 10 draft pick status.
Right.
He has that ability in him. We've never seen it, though.
Right.
We've never seen it consistently. So you cannot fool around and have all these young pieces in year 2. Or, I mean, seriously, you could be out the door next year if it goes, worst of the worst. But say it's another average year, 6 or 7 wins, that seat's hot in year 3.
I mean, Auburn did it.
Absolutely, Auburn did it. And now there's a big difference in, they felt really good about landing Billy Napier. No one had been able to do it to that point. And then Auburn ultimately settled. It seemed like in their move, and couldn't get rid of him soon enough. But I mean, everyone thought Napier was going to be the next coming of Nick Saban, and that Richardson was going to be Cam Newton 2.0. Cam Newton / Dak Prescott. Give me a break.
Yeah.
That's what I think Napier himself said. So you cannot fool around in year 2. And heck, I hope they do. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. There's another school portal wise that I want to talk about, and that's Alabama, and how many guys they have in the portal and how many of those guys are already committed.
Yeah.
So just recently, Aaron Anderson, receiver, committed to LSU. JoJo Earl is headed to TCU. Christian Leary is headed to UCF. Offensive tackle Tommy Brockermeyer headed to TCU. TCU doing work in the portal, man.
They're cleaning up in the portal. They're trying to keep it going.
I mean, Sonny Dykes. Hey.
Yeah, man.
And they're about to kiss Oklahoma and Texas goodbye. He's like, bro, we're going to be the powerhouse of this conference.
Run this conference.
Javian Cohen, an interior offensive lineman, committed to Miami. Amari Knight, offensive tackle. He doesn't know yet. Here's the one I wanted to point out. Trayshawn Holden going to Oregon. And Tanner Bowles, lineman, going to Kentucky. Kyrie Jackson, corner, going to Oregon. Trey Sanders doesn't have a home yet. Wonder if he's going to go play for his uncle out in Colorado.
Yeah.
They've got him down as a 3-star in the portal, which is kind of fascinating.
That is interesting. He was a very highly rated running back coming out.
Yes, he was.
He's one I can really empathize with, because that injury stemming from a car wreck, I believe it was, just has really derailed his career, or at least all the opportunities that he probably had coming out. But I hope the best for all those young men, but especially Sanders finding a home and doing well here towards the end of his career.
Yeah. So Alabama got hit, and you've got schools on the opposite end that are doing work, like a TCU who we just mentioned, and then you got schools like Michigan who are silently pulling some dudes. And I don't know if you saw this, but the tight end out of Michigan, Eric All, entered into the portal, already committed to Iowa along with his boy McNamara.
Man,
but I mean, Michigan's got 2 dudes from Stanford, got a good linebacker from Nebraska. I mean.
And heck, let's also say Nebraska doing work in the portal. I mean, they are.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you're in the portal, if you have playing experience, they're interested. It does not look like Matt Rule is wanting to waste any time here. He's not, taking any hostages here in the portal. He's if you can contribute, he is taking you in. Our man Jeff Sims from Georgia Tech,
notably.
heading to Nebraska, and again a slew of players elsewhere. especially defensively, which they will also need. But
Yeah.
going to be very excited to see Rule and Sims and what they can bring together.
Yes.
For sure. And Michigan,
Yes.
they are already in the process of restocking that offensive line. They just wrapped up back-to-back Joe Moore Award seasons, winning the best offensive line in back-to-back seasons, and they're already out here finding guys in the portal that can, look to keep that going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, we could spend hours and hours on the portal.
Oh yeah.
But so when a team leaves or when a guy leaves the team, he can do it by way of portal. He can graduate or he can declare.
Yeah.
You have some serious thoughts on Jalen Hyatt.
Oh man, absolutely. I guess ultimately what it comes down to for me is if I'm in that position and it is now the norm, because looking back at it, 5-6 years ago when you had Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey, guys like that, kind of starting this trend.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I couldn't have hated it more at that time. I was I've aged a lot since then.
Yeah.
I can really, what I guess is also true is Tennessee hasn't had guys really in this position for the most part. You had Alontae Taylor last year, who was also dealing with injury. Let's acknowledge that.
Sure.
But you've got a healthy Jalen Hyatt. You've got he could definitely play Cedric Tillman. That's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Man, guys, go get your money. Do your thing. If I'm looking at this game against Clemson and I'm thinking my quarterback's already out, that's a really good defense. I'm looking at first round grades and I have all, for Hyatt, his ticket is his speed primarily. He can play physical. We saw him do it at times this year, but his speed is the ticket, his ability to get past guys, even an ankle sprain, let alone a severe knee injury, but even an ankle sprain is going to take precious time away from his process here.
Mm-hmm.
And Tillman, just in a very unfortunate ending to his career, but what he's meant to Tennessee over these last 2 years. I mean, personally, this year, he basically willed the Pitt win. Him and the defense in that game willed that win this year. And then last year, I mean, he was just a human highlight reel, him and Velus Jones doing it last year. Gonna miss that connection for sure. Hooker to Hyatt, Hooker to Tillman, gonna miss that for sure.
Gonna miss Hooker.
But man, if I'm in their shoes, it's gonna be hard for me not to do the same thing. That's ultimately what I can't get past. I would love if this trend had never started. I would love it.
Sure.
But ball games just aren't what they used to be. Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, some of those first guys to opt out kind of ensured that more than anything else to me.
Yeah.
But man, go get that money, go help reestablish in some way, or, it's going to take time, but go help reestablish wide receiver guys, not only doing it at Tennessee, go do it in the NFL, make your money, make us look good, be a recruiting tool for Tennessee down the road. and let's go see Ramel Keaton and Squirrel White and Walker Merrill, any of these guys that are able to do it against Clemson. Let's go see them, see what they've got going into next year, see what we need. Maybe it identifies a need at that position or something like that. I mean, let's just go see what we got.
Yeah, I'm really torn. I'm not as one-sided as that. In my mind, Tennessee football is what puts you in the position that you're in now.
It's true.
I do understand that you want to preserve health and try to get to the next level and that stuff. I guess I just don't like where the game is heading with you got a New Year's Six bowl and dudes are opting out of it. I hate that. And it's only going to get worse as the playoffs expand, right?
So, you've got a potentially healthy Jackson Smith and Jigba not playing in the 14 playoff. So,
I know.
Yes.
So people need to go ahead and try to remind me or give me a better explanation of how the NIL is going to help this, because Hyatt has an NIL deal, had a heck of one.
Just got his biggest. Yeah,
apparently more than one too, and he's off. So and somebody also needs to explain to me how that works. How do you get an NIL deal and you're never going to put on our jersey again? How does that work?
Yeah,
I'm not mad at him. I don't hate him for it. I mean, I'm actually really happy for him. Like, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, dude, go make your money. Like you balled out, but I don't know. I mean,
no.
Are these programs just stepping stones for these dudes to get where they want to go? I mean, is that what it is? I don't know. I'm really torn. But I'm happy for him. Obviously, really happy for him. So
and it's if you look back at his first two seasons, it's almost really unexpected because he just didn't have the ability to stay on the field. He's talked about his own effort, things like that. So you'd love to see a guy make that jump. It's also really encouraging that future guys can make that jump in this program. And it's really nice. I don't know how much of a part it is, but it's great to see production like this in our wide receiver coach, Kelsey Pope's first year.
Sure.
So that's all encouraging signs. I'll tell you this. I hate the trend. Absolutely hate the trend. But I mean, now that the trend has begun, I don't think I could not do the same thing if it were me. It would mean a lot. This game would. We're fans. These kids grew up in Vegas and South Carolina, respectively. So they're not, historical fans, diehards like we are. So there's just all kinds of aspects. I don't like the trend. I really don't. But now all we can have you do is go make plays in the NFL, make lots of money, be a big recruiting tool for us. And hey, now I'll tell you this: I want Devin Hyatt now, as more than I have before. I want the next Hyatt in the program already.
So what sparked that on? Because you were not so hot on that last time we talked about it.
Hey, it's now going to be nostalgia more than anything else. I mean,
okay.
Jalen single-handedly beat Alabama pretty much. So if you can do that, man, come on down. I'm a big believer in what's his name, Coach Hyatt, Coach Jamie Hyatt,
his
Papa
dad?
Hyatt.
Yeah.
Papa. Man, I like the way he raises them Hyatt boys. So
get on down here, boy. Get you a Hyatt hotel.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm torn. I mean, Clemson's also got, some dudes opting out as well. Most notably, at least actually the only one I've heard, I take that back, Miles Murphy. So that's going to be big for us. Happy to know that Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, who's going to go, I don't know if he's going to be a first round guy, second, third, maybe.
Yeah.
But happy to hear that he's declaring, but playing. So
yes. And as much of, it's kind of like the mirror situation of Jalen. Darnell, even though they do have Murphy opting out, he's going to go against some really good edge guys. So it's just another opportunity for him, and he's going to take the opportunity to put more on film, maybe boost that draft status, whereas Hyatt could probably do the same, but he'd be relying on that connection with Joe Milton that is not as fresh as it was with Hendon Hooker for sure.
Yeah. Well, you had some other stuff that you wanted to touch on, but I do want to come back to the transfer portal just for a second before we transition. We talked about transfer portal and dudes going here or there. You got dudes that enter the portal and just never find a spot. And I don't know that you and I ever talked about this, but Lynn J. Dixon's still in the portal.
Yeah. I mean, you have to think with seriously, less than 2 week stint that he had at Tennessee this offseason, that being his third college already, you would have to think that his chances are about up. And he's a high profile example of this. You got guys that we never hear of because they're not 4 and 5 star guys. And, they get either coaxed and recruited into the portal, or maybe they're told to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
And they never find a home. Their playing career at that point is effectively over.
Yeah.
That is and this is a perfect segue for me, because one thing I want to touch on is that for Tennessee, all these people, if you're out there, why is Tennessee not more active in the portal? Listen, I mean, I don't want personally more Lynn J. Dixons or guys that are, going to be potential problems, or I want guys that are hungry if those guys are out there, or if there are ever Jahmyr Gibbs or Leary's or what have you, if they're out there and they're a position of need, absolutely, I want you. But I don't just want, Joe Schmo out of honestly anywhere.
Yeah.
Big school, low school, I don't care. I just want guys that are hungry, that are going to add depth. Certainly we need probably another tight end. Running back's a need, but it's going to be a hard one to fill because you've got 3 guys that are very capable there. And, quarterback, you could also use some depth there. But again, who are you going to get that wants to compete with Nico, compete with Taven Jackson? Milton's already the favorite for 2023. I mean, who wants that job? And I don't know that person. So if you can add depth, absolutely do it. But absolutely, there's guys that their careers are going to be over in football because of the transfer portal and hopping in there.
Yeah. Speaking of, you mentioned Leary. I don't know if we talked about this either. He looks like he's got a crystal ball to Kentucky.
Good grief. I mean, I thought Mertz was going to be that guy at Kentucky. I mean, daggum.
I'd rather it be Mertz at this point.
I would too. Yeah. I think he's got a much lower ceiling than Mr. Leary.
Yeah. Hey, we're gonna have to take 5 right here because our free Zoom package is about to drop. So y'all listen to this commercial break and we'll be right back. Okay, so for us, that was more than 5 minutes. For you, it's not even just a few seconds. We're back. And what's going to happen is we met, we powwowed, Walker, Tucker talked, and we're just going to come back around the transfer portal talk. That's what we're going to do because stuff is happening. Stuff even happened while we were away. Hit us with it, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, this just in, we're not going to break any news because you are not listening to this at the time we're talking about it. But Tennessee lands a commitment from Texas offensive tackle. Gosh, I can't wait to hear Bob Kessling say some of these names. Texas offensive tackle Andrej Karic. I don't even know. I'm guessing. That's just a guess.
Where's Miley Kunis when you need her?
Exactly. Texas offensive tackle. He's going to have to say Nico Iamaleava at some point. I can't wait for those moments. Unless Mr. Karic from Texas is as clean as Jerome Carvin, he's going to have to call his name at some point. So,
yeah,
things are happening. Moves are being made. Not all we're going to talk about. That's just the latest. Very exciting. Here's my stance. We're going to talk about this at some point too. I've got a wish list in the portal. Like I talked about earlier, I really don't care what Tennessee does in the portal because the guy's going to be leaving the last school for a reason. Yeah. Maybe it adds depth. Maybe it doesn't work. We'll see. I'm good either way. Add guys, you're not going to add everyone. It's fine.
Right.
If the offensive staff likes somebody, that's a done deal for me. Talk about the tight end from California, Davis McClellan Castles. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a heck of a name. That's all conference name team material. If the offensive staff likes him, I'm great.
Yeah.
No, it's not the guy that blew up out of Shorter College. His name just left me. It's not that guy. It's not Jaheim Bell from South Carolina. If the offensive staff likes you, I like you. That's the level of trust that they've built in a matter of 2 seasons. So transferring, man, talk about a timely mess up right there. But talking about non-Tennessee, what are these quarterbacks going to do? Leary is crystal ball to Kentucky, which is very interesting to me. You got Grayson McCall, who had heat with Auburn.
Want to see him there?
I do too. Has it slowed down because there's less buzz? You've got a guy like DJ Uiagalelei, who was as highly of he's ever been of who Nico is coming out of high school.
Yep.
He was,
the more you hit refresh on the transfer portal update, the more he slides down the list.
Yeah, he was up there. I mean, he was as almost as high as Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he was up there.
Yeah,
up there, and he has just fallen. Is he even still a package deal for his younger brother at this point? Who
I don't think so.
A player with, I think, involved with, I think, Clemson, Ohio State, another big school. I can't remember, but they were thought to be a package deal. But I mean, it doesn't look that way now. I mean, even as understandable as DJ's fall at Clemson is, that still has to damage family relations a little bit, I would think, because Dabo had every right to pull him halfway through the season, and he finally did. But it's just mesmerizing. This is, again, like the opt-outs that we talked about, not my ideal college football landscape, but whatever. If you're buried, if it's not going to work out, go transfer. I would probably do the same, just like I would do if I was Jalen Hyatt and I was, worried about my health and this kind of ultimately meaningless game for the player, not for the fans.
Yeah.
So, what do these quarterbacks do? What do the running backs are not as deep as they've been in years past, but my gosh, are there receivers? Are there linemen on trench players on both sides? Defensive backs out the wazoo. I mean, last year this time when Brian Kelly was hired at LSU, they essentially built a secondary out of the transfer portal. I mean, they had 2 from Arkansas. They had Seven Banks come in. I mean, I think that's his name. I hope I'm not confusing him.
I think it's Savion, right?
Savion. Can't remember. But they had him come in. I think he landed there. They built an entire secondary out of portal guys.
Yeah.
This year, they're seeing some guys transfer out, like Jack Beck, who was thought to be a really good player for them. He's in the portal heading out of Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
Just wild times. Not my ideal landscape, but whatever. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It's not going to go back to the old way. And personally, like I said, I'll be watching these quarterbacks. I'll be watching the defensive guys, because when you do talk about Tennessee, it'd be great to have an experienced influx of secondary talent with these recruits that I'm ecstatic about.
Mm-hmm.
It would be wonderful if you could add a quarterback that wouldn't mess up the chemistry and the relationships there, or a running back that could do the same. But that's just so unlikely in today's college football.
Yeah, yeah. I want to come back and I want to talk about DJ Ouya for a second.
Let's do it.
And just maybe the reasons why he has not found a landing spot yet. Seems like it's
Yeah.
down to one of the California schools, and it could be maybe he's waiting on his brother to decide what he wants to do. But if
Maybe.
that is not the case, I have to think that he just doesn't have an offer somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because
Same.
he's not the one. A guy like Travis Hunter is the one holding the leverage,
Yeah.
but a guy like DJ is not holding the leverage.
It's gone.
Yeah, it is absolutely gone. So I have to think he's waiting on an offer. And
Sure.
is he going to get that from a USC? If I'm Lincoln Riley, I'm looking at him going, I don't think so. I just no, I don't think so. If I'm Kelly at UCLA, I'm going, man, maybe the potential's there, but I don't think so. I mean, let's look at it through this perspective. He's now the 22 best guy in the portal overall. Quarterbacks ahead of him, Shedeur Sanders. Colin Shalee from Kent State, who has now found his home at UCLA. Okay.
Yeah.
Where was the other one that I saw? Yeah, Hudson Card out of Texas, who hasn't found a landing spot. Grayson McCall, Devin Leary. I don't know that. I think those guys hold leverage. I don't think DJ is holding leverage. And just because you enter the portal doesn't mean you have to find another home. You can always come out and stay. But with a guy like Dabo,
oh yeah, no, that won't be an option there. I would say, and unless it's because of the younger or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, just something really weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, is there a place that you think he might land, and does it differ than where you want him to land? I mean,
I think I've used this kind of analogy on our podcast before. If I haven't, and this is the first time, there's a lot of things I would love to see the alternate reality of. If Tennessee didn't have Joe Milton, coming back again, if it didn't have young talent there, I would love to see. What can Heupel do with a guy who has struggled as much as Uiagalelei has? Because Milton has struggled plenty with consistency and taking some heat off the ball, putting air under it, those things. But Uiagalelei's been a lot of decision making on top of some of those same issues. Tentativeness when he's running. Up until this year, he did better of that this year.
Yeah,
I would love to see the alternate reality of that, but I don't want him at Tennessee as a fan, and I don't even think that's a good fit for DJ.
no.
But I back west, somewhere back closer to home. Fresno State was getting the buzz, but does their quarterback return because they had a solid season and a bowl win over Washington State to close their season out. So I mean, what's the competition look like there?
Sure.
Theoretically, if the coaching is in place to mold DJ and to maybe analyze and break down, give him a fresh set of eyes and ears, that could be a good spot. But if it's not that, I don't see it being USC at all. I don't see it being UCLA because they've got guys as well.
Yeah.
I wonder, and I'm, because I have, no harsh feelings or anything like that towards DJ. I'm a little bit worried for him at this point because, like you said, he's probably lost leverage. He's considering where his brother's going, and he's probably doing a lot of waiting. Maybe he's doing a little bit of consideration of where he wants to go, but probably more waiting game right now for DJ.
Yeah, I think a very realistic option. If I'm him, I'm calling Alex Golish down at USF. You know what? It's a prolific offense. It doesn't seem to be too complicated for a quarterback.
Yeah.
It is quick decisions, which verdict is still on out if he can do that or not.
Yep.
You might not have a whole lot of options here, and it's South Florida, Tampa.
Yeah.
So,
I love that.
Yeah. Let's continue to play this game here. Let's start Travis Hunter. Where do you think he's going to land? Where do you want him to land? Where would you like to see him?
Anywhere but Georgia among those teams we talked about. I don't want to see him at USC either because I'm so tired of they've already exhausted me with the Caleb Williams nail paint, the Heisman Trophy this year, the way that it turned out. I'm just already tired of them. Sure. Ready for them to go into the Big Ten and really get probably a rude awakening if that's how it's going to play out. For me, that's what I see. Of course, we say a lot of the same things about Ohio State and the schedule that they play, even a bit for Michigan in years like this year. Of course, they demolished Ohio State, so they have that bragging right and they have that to their resume. But when it comes down to those teams that are just really, I mean, frankly, they kind of resemble Utah with their physicality, with their run games, with the pro styles that they run. They're going to run into a lot of that. So I'm curious to see how it will be when they travel thousands and thousands of miles when they play in extreme cold weather that they don't see a ton of already. I don't want to see. I'm already tired of USC. Tired of USC. Don't want to see him go to Georgia. Going with Coach Prime. Do your thing. Let's see how that goes. Miami. Sure, whatever. I don't know why. I don't know why it seems like it would be really hard to recruit from Miami right now because they had a solid class. They landed a ton of transfers.
Because people don't go to games.
People don't go to games. We've talked about this on end, on podcasts on end.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're recruiting really well right now, but they are.
Yeah.
So I don't really care if he goes there. Just go to Colorado, do the rebuild out there. Let's see what Coach Prime and Mr. Hunter himself have to offer.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up at Colorado. That would be if I'm betting, I'm going to say that. I think I would like to see him back to his original commitment of Florida State.
Sure.
I really liked that, especially with the rise of Seminoles. I mean, they were playing just as good as anybody in the country towards the end of the season. So I think that's what I would like to see. Fentrell Cypress, highly recruited. Bunch of guys want him out of Virginia. They got him down as one of a 4-star corner in the portal. I can tell you where you want him to go. I know where you want him to go.
Yeah, right? You can.
I don't think that's an option.
I don't think so either.
I don't think we are an option. Is there another place that you could see him fitting in that would bode well?
When I look at his home state being and him being from Rock Hill in South Carolina, boy, I hope he goes with the more orange tinted version of Carolina school if he goes back home to South Carolina.
Yeah,
that makes me wonder. I'm sure, and like you've said, everyone's kind of in play for him, so I don't know, what his best offer may look like as far as a place he can play. Of course, as good as he is, that probably won't be much of a contention for him.
Yeah.
I mean, we talking about Tennessee not necessarily being in play here. They do have roots in Rock Hill, some small pipelinage in Rock Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be amazing. But outside of that, I have no idea for him if he's going back home, if he's just playing the game. And I've balled out. I can get offers now, NIL wise, can kind of be recruited again. I don't know how that's going to go, but I'll be another one that I'll just be fascinated to watch.
Yeah. I can honestly see him ending up at something like an SEC West, like an Alabama or an LSU.
Same.
More specifically, an Alabama, where he can get that NIL money because he's earned it up to this point.
Yeah.
Playing for one of the best secondary coaches to ever do it.
Yeah.
But they have potentially some big time names coming out of high school coming to Tuscaloosa. So who knows? Where would I like to see him? Obviously, in our orange. But if that's not the case, I'm gonna take your advice there and say Clemson as well. Let's go back to quarterback. Devin Leary. He's crystal ball to Kentucky, but that's no fun.
No, not at all.
Honestly, I'm gonna make it less fun when I say this. He always kind of struck me as a Florida guy. He's from New Jersey. He's kind of got that Will Grier persona and style of play to him.
Yeah.
Do I want that? No. Can I see it? Absolutely. I can also see him being a Hugh Freeze guy.
Yeah.
The Mark Stoops and Kentucky thing, I don't quite get or understand. I can also, I'm gonna throw another one at you. I can also see him being a Louisville Cardinal now with Jeff Brom.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Hopping to another school in the same division though.
Probably not going to happen, but yeah.
Yeah, probably not going to happen, but highly likely. He is from New Jersey. He also strikes me as a guy who would fit well with a Mel Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows?
Yeah.
Sounds like he's going to be at Kentucky though.
Yeah, that's kind of bizarre to me. I understand that Kentucky is bringing back Liam Cohen, who was Will Levis's first offensive coordinator at Kentucky. And sure, they had some success there, but let's also keep in mind that you and I, at least, and those of us that kind of saw things play out as we did, weren't really high on Levis going into 2022. And that did nothing but hurt his draft status in my mind, my opinion of him, all those things.
Yeah.
He played his best ball with Liam Cohen, sure, but they've already got Mertz from Wisconsin. You're already deep into your career. So what if you go there and it doesn't work, and of course you take that risk anywhere.
Sure.
But you know what I don't get, and this popped into my mind when you were saying like Florida, that makes a ton of sense here. Frankly, they should full court press for McCall, Leary, these top quarterbacks. They should put the full court press on, in my opinion.
Sure.
But a school that has cooled down once a certain other ACC quarterback decided to stay where he was is I haven't heard any portal talk for quarterback with Alabama.
I was just, man, dang it, I was holding that.
I mean,
it makes sense. I mean, Bryce Young's out. He's gone.
He's gone. He's gone. So you talk about Ty Simpson. You talk about just lost train of thought there with Milroe. Goodness, Jalen Milroe. Talk about Milroe. You talk about Ty Simpson.
He's in the
portal.
I'm sure Milroe's in the portal.
No. Talk about who's coming back. Who should be coming back for them.
Gotcha.
Talk about those guys, and I'm sure, as always, there's going to be a talented quarterback in this class, which is, frankly, a legendary recruiting class that Alabama has compiled at this point.
Yeah.
But why would they only be interested in, and listen, I understand that Sam Hartman is special, but why just him? Why would it just be him that you're interested in? If you do have a youngster in this current recruiting class, why not bring someone in until he's ready to go? You would think that the talent around quarterback, receiver, running backs, all those things would take a step because they did kind of make Bryce do it all at times. Yeah. You would think that it would take a kind of step back towards the norm of late, but who knows? I just don't understand why Sam Hartman would be the only one that you might be interested in.
Yeah, doesn't make sense to me. Even a Grayson McCall in my mind.
Same.
Not that Ty Simpson can't or won't, or Milroe can or won't, but you talk about guys who are proven. Proven. Leary, I'm gonna say that I would like to see him Louisville with Jeff Brom. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That'd be a great marriage in my mind because Brom can coach quarterbacks. He's gonna need one. Blake Cunningham, I believe, will be gone because he's been there forever. And he didn't play in that bowl game, so I'm assuming he was, either injured or opted out, something like that.
Yeah.
They're going to need a quarterback. Why not make a splash here in this portaling season?
Sure. Grayson McCall. I'm just going to say it because I've said it 1,000 times. I want to see him at Auburn. I really, really do.
Yeah. Either, you know what? I'll keep it as simple as go to Auburn or follow your head coach, Jamie Chadwell, to Liberty. Do one of those things. I'll be good. Don't go anywhere else that's going to cause me more gray hair or anything like that. A big believer in Grayson McCall. And frankly, not for only McCall, but all these quarterbacks. I think Auburn's going to be in play with Freeze, with Freeze being the guy there and the work that he's done with quarterbacks and, even less talented quarterbacks than Grayson McCall at Liberty and guys that you just hadn't heard of at the way of that McCall has risen, and Leary and all those other guys. They've taken jumps, and you would think that there would be another jump in store with a guy like Hugh Freeze and what he's done offensively.
You would think. What about a place like Oklahoma looking for a quarterback, or are they just going to hang on to Dylan Gabriel and because he dealt with an injury?
He did.
Is that a school?
Man, they better be looking because they lost a quarterback to Wisconsin, Nick Evers, I believe, or Evers, I think is the name.
Yes.
So they've talked about they've lost depth there. Gabriel is he's had to have played 3 or 4 years already. But I do believe he's
going to have a COVID year somewhere.
Haven't seen anything about him, going pro or anything to that effect. So depth certainly you're going to need, and competition I would think you need after the year that they had. I'm surprised they're kind of like Alabama, just on a different playing field and where they're at right now. They need to bring in competition and depth for the guys that are already there, or what they can do with a guy like McCall or one of those guys.
Yep. I'm with you. Let's go down to Hudson Card. This one's interesting, and I really, really do wonder if Golesh is going to get his hands on one of these guys.
Yeah. He should be attractive. The South Florida's had good football before. Obviously they haven't of late because they're in this position with a brand new head coach, but that's an attractive place to me to play. You're surrounded by all the speed in the state of Florida. You're playing in an NFL stadium. Do they not? That's your home stadium.
Did they play in Raymond James Stadium?
I was thinking that they did, but I could be wrong on that.
Okay. All right. I wouldn't be surprised.
But yeah. And then you look at what Golish offenses have accomplished with, again, kind of less than what you'd want talent around for the most part.
Yeah.
And guys that had kind of been written off, whether it's, the work that Joe Milton has done in short, or if you look in large, the work that Hendon Hooker has done. I mean, why not go be with a guy like that? And if we haven't said it yet, rooting big for Golish, want to see him do well. Like the guy a lot. Seems like an extremely nice guy. He's super young. I mean, I think we made this joke. He looks older because I think of those Russian roots down there. Probably some cold nights as a child and things like that. But yeah, why not go for one of these quarterbacks that are up there that you're not hearing a ton of talk about? I mean, Hudson Card is not someone that I've heard nearly as much about like a Leary or a Grayson McCall. So why not, man? Just blow him up, full court press, see if you can't throw a deal together and make some noise.
I mean, why not? Right? Why not?
But if I were to go away from Alex Golish in South Florida,
okay,
Texas A&M has to be looking for a quarterback in the portal.
Oh
right?
gosh, okay, so yes, but he's from Austin.
He is.
I think he is like I think he was born with a hook'em tattoo on his about his privates, his thigh. I don't know. I mean,
his neck, right?
His neck, yeah. I mean, something. I mean, where does that come in?
I mean, I agree completely. That is, that is as good as biblical knowledge to me right there in my mind. But we do see guys transfers to rivals all the time.
Sure.
Back and forth, even not just one way to the team that's winning and successful. So, I mean, again, Jimbo put on a full court press in the NIL game last year to land this class that has already fallen apart and has just shriveled to pieces. Why would you not do it for a quarterback? And, we saw Hudson Card do some good work early in the season when Ewers was out. I mean, it looks like both of those guys took steps at Texas. So, why not go get one of those, or at least, make an attractive push for one of them to try to get things back on track at, in College Station.
Sure. Another school we need to be mentioning is Washington. I don't know how much longer Michael Penix is going to be there, but
one more year.
Okay. Well, I mean, they did some work with him.
Yeah.
But Hudson Card, I mean, honestly, it will not surprise me if he ends up at seriously something like Alabama.
Yeah.
Or one of these big time programs, and it doesn't quite work out. I can imagine that storyline just coming across, right? But I think a place I would like to see him. Oh gosh, did you answer this question?
Well, I think I did, but I've got not a new answer by any means. But here's another guy that Florida should be pursuing if they're not. And I'm not trying to help Florida out, but this is a guy that they should.
I said I'd like to see him.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true.
Like or want.
Yeah, very different.
I want Florida to suffer.
Yeah, it's time
for the one Florida Gator fan that we have listening out there. Goodness, a Hudson Card. Gosh, I think a place that I would like to see him. I know Jordan Travis is going to be coming back. I don't know the kind of eligibility that Hudson's going to have, but I think I would like to see something like that. Or even, something inside the SEC West where they're playing against, an A&M. Maybe something like maybe even an LSU. I don't know what the status is on Jaden Daniels,
I think he's gone, but you got Nussmeier, Garrett Nussmeier down there, kind of waiting in the arms, it looks like, as a potential guy.
Hell, he can do work with with Q's, man. I don't
absolutely.
I don't know. Watch them all go to Colorado.
Yeah, right.
All this conversation. There was another one I wanted to talk about. Brennan Armstrong, Luke Altmaier. Yeah. Want to mention these names, and Malik Hornsby. I kind of want to talk about these guys. There was another one that I wanted to touch on, and we can call it. Keaton Slovis.
Yeah. That was a weird early, talk about when the portal opened. Pitt landed Jerkovich from Boston College, and Slovis was immediately in the portal.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that I watched much Pitt after the Tennessee Pitt game, but I don't know what went wrong there.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, and again, we're talking about Tennessee's defense that has issues, not an all-world defense, but ultimately did knock him out of that game. I don't know what went wrong or what drew Narduzzi to Philip Jerkovich. I'm talking about immediately. had to be some back channeling and some tampering there because it was
bang,
immediate.
Bang. Yep.
So I don't know. I don't even know where to think for Keaton Slovis. I'll tell you what. This is the type of guy that I could see going like almost like a Graham Mertz going to Kentucky, not your gunslingers, your Devin Leary's, guys like that. This makes a lot more sense to me because when I think of Devin Leary, I think of a gunslinger. When I think of Keaton Slovis, I think of more of a game manager, and that's kind of what Kentucky's done. They've ran the ball, managed the game. Otherwise, that's just something that makes sense to me. Where I want to see him land, man, I can't even think, but. Just don't go to a rival and don't give us any more grief because you gave us a good first half scare there.
Yeah, no doubt. Other names that we haven't mentioned that I totally spaced out on: Spencer Sanders.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
In the portal, and it seems like with every passing day, he just falls down the ranks, just inside the quarterback rankings, and their offense just disappeared on the year. But some people have talked about what the relationship between a Spencer Sanders and a Hugh Freeze could look like.
Yeah,
that would be fascinating.
That one to me feels like it has as much room in the ceiling as any of these guys. Sanders can ball, or he's balled out before. And I even wonder where this puts, kind of the way that we've wondered about things unraveling a bit at Clemson. They've not been 500 or anything like that, but it's not been the smooth selling that it has. And it's not been the smooth selling that it's been over the last 10 years for Mike Gundy of late. So I wonder where they're at as a program. But man, again, Spencer Sanders, I think of, kind of Texas schools, A&M, again, not somewhere I want to see him, but it makes sense to me that they would go get a guy with potential like that. And I'm not even going to name the blue and orange school that we've talked about previously. I will say Auburn, that would be great, but I'm not going to name the other one. A guy that has just been in the portal and forgotten about, it seems like.
Yeah, it really stinks. I really like this guy. I forget who was doing it, but they were doing like a special Oklahoma State football behind the scenes stuff. And it was back when Chubba Hubbard was there.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed listening to him talk and share about the team. But there's some schools out there that kind of fascinate me with him. Obviously Auburn being one of them. Ole Miss being another.
Oof. Yeah.
That is intriguing to me. I know that they're going to have Jackson Dart coming back, but
you gotta see Lane probably want to get back to what he's done more than run the ball like they did this year. And they did it with a freshman. They're going to be able to do it again, you would think. Judkins is only going to get more. He's only going to be more game planned for and prepared for than he was this year. But you got to think that Lane wouldn't mind, again, some competition, losing Altmaier. You might lose Dart depending on how that goes. But Lane is not afraid to take a 1-year guy. He's not afraid to do it.
Not at all.
He's lived in the portal, transferred to the SIP. You know what I mean? That seems like a very, very logical place to me.
Doesn't it? Kiffin can do it.
He can certainly do it.
There's some. We have not mentioned the return of Bo Nix. I was getting ready to say Oregon. I was like, nope, wait, Bo Nix is back. So there's some Pac-12 opportunities. Arizona State's got a new head coach, which, if I remember right, Slovis is from Arizona. So there might be some roots there. It's so hard to kind of predict and match this, but man, it's really going to be fun to watch and follow. But if there's a place that I want Golish to land one of these guys. I want Auburn to land one of these guys. I want Alabama to lose more. I
want to pay less taxes.
I want to pay less taxes. Yeah. I want more mean tweets. Anyway, I'm kidding. So it's just gonna be fun to watch. What I don't want is just for these guys to disappear and really never be heard of again.
Yeah.
Mississippi State would be an interesting, but rest in peace,
man.
To the pirate.
Yeah, this is our first episode since we lost Mike Leach, and just think so highly of him. And my heart is warm because of all the stories that I had no idea about.
Yeah,
just the way he interacted with people. Sorry that we didn't think of this earlier, but like life
planned
kind
on
of came at
closing.
us as well.
I planned on closing that way.
And we can certainly come back to it if you want to. But yeah, my heart is warm when thinking about him and just heartbroken for his family.
Yeah, we do have to. I do have to hop off here so I can go start a dynasty with Mississippi State and get Spencer Sanders to transfer over so I can start that. Can you imagine something like that, man? I mean,
oh man, and not to jump ahead too much, but I mean, like a Brennan Armstrong, or like a Brennan Armstrong or a Spencer Sanders. One of those guys that screams one of the Mississippi schools to me. Armstrong can play. He's got some records to his name at Virginia.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal was this year, and that's probably a big part of why he's portaling, but a lot of potential there, I think. Lefty, if I'm not mistaken, Brennan Armstrong.
He is. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I would just really wonder, heck, if Alabama's really looking to add some depth, I could see them going one of those directions as well, more so like a Brennan Armstrong. But, I mean, Golish, if he doesn't land one of those top 5 or so guys that we've looked at, one of these guys starting with maybe Armstrong down to Malik Hornsby, he's got to get one of those guys come in and just think about the way that could energize that offense, man. If he just kind of, I would think that he'll kind of copy and paste what we've seen at Tennessee the best that he can with what he has.
Yeah.
Think about how fun that could be to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to kind of close with this potential marriage with a Malik Hornsby and a Gus Malzahn.
Ooh.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun. Absolutely.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're gonna call it because we're more than out of time, and we guys hit you with a no commercial break, and it's been a little bit of a cluster, but we made it through. Thanks for surviving with us. I'm gonna be on the road traveling, so I'm gonna be listening to some podcasts tomorrow. Hope you guys will choose to listen to Pandemonium Reigns while you travel. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Michael is on a what is this thing? So you've got things like No Shave November. Michael is like No Haircut 2022. And he's just letting it look
gosh. We'll just do this in an upcoming podcast. Yeah. The hair ain't been cut since Easter, and Tennessee had a 10-2 season. So I mean, I'm not cutting it. Like it's not going anywhere. So like just don't get your hopes up. One of these days we'll show you what I'm talking about. Taking the ox from you real quick.
Sure.
Early Christmas gift from one of my close friend groups.
Yeah.
Can't wait to show the world this. Check it.
What? A Pandemonium Reigns t-shirt?
Check it.
What? Who made that?
You'll be seeing me, my friends group, man. It was presented by my pastor, Ian Shaw. So
cool.
Really appreciate that.
Awesome.
I know there was a couple people involved with getting that made and handed over to me, but you'll be seeing this on the pod.
Yeah.
You'll be seeing it around town. You'll be thinking, what in the world is that? And then you'll be clicking like, subscribe, share, rating and reviewing.
Yeah.
You'll be hitting us up with your thoughts. Pandemonium Reigns podcast.
I need to close on some of these sponsors so we can get t-shirts out to you guys. I was actually going to call you when I was leaving here so I could tell you about some t-shirt ideas that I had because my wife does custom t-shirts. But that is awesome. Hold that up for me one more time so I can.
Absolutely. And I'm kind of blocking my view, so just tell me if I need to bring it up or down.
A little to your left. There you go. Look at that, y'all. Hey, if you're listening not on YouTube, then gosh, what are you doing with your life? Pandemonium Reigns. Make sure you like and subscribe because that is beautiful. Gonna have to go get Courtney to make me one right now. Woman, what are you doing? Make me a shirt and a sandwich. I'm kidding. Kidding. I gotta go make her a sandwich. Gotta go do it now. I'm actually gotta leave here so I can go pick her food up. Hey, we love you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Again, if you don't, you just suck. We don't like you. We do this for free. Somebody's calling Mike. Mike needs to answer that phone right now and tell them to follow, like, subscribe, Pandemonium Reigns. Thanks for listening. We'll be back probably next week. Probably down to one per week just for now. We'll definitely hit you guys with a preview on Tennessee Clemson before we hop off for the year. But we love you guys. God bless and go Balls.
Pandemonium Reigns.